Waverly Hills Sanatorium is one of the most infamous abandoned buildings in the United States, and for a chilling reason. Built in the early 1900s, it served as a tuberculosis hospital during a time when the disease was incurable and highly contagious. It's believed that over 60,000 people died there, though official records are much lower. Due to the high death toll, the hospital built a 500-foot underground tunnel called the body chute, or death tunnel, to secretly transport corpses out of sight from the other patients. After the sanatorium was shut down in the 1980s, it quickly gained a reputation for being haunted. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers frequently report disturbing encounters. One of the most terrifying accounts came from a small group of urban explorers in 2003. They decided to spend the night inside the decaying hospital. It was quiet at first, just the sound of wind howling through broken windows. Around 2 a.m., one of them, Alex, began hearing faint whispers coming from the end of a hallway. Thinking it was his friends playing a prank, he followed the sound. But the hallway was empty. He turned to walk back, and that's when he saw her. A pale woman stood silently at the far end of the corridor. Her hospital gown was torn and stained, and half of her face looked like it had rotted away. She didn't move. Alex froze in fear. He slowly lifted his camera to take a photo, but as he did, the camera shut off on its own. No power. The rest of the group ran over after hearing him scream. When they turned on their flashlights, the woman was gone. Later, when they reviewed the camera footage, there was a brief frame, just 1 second, where a blurry figure stood just inches from the lens. No one had been that close to Alex at the time. The group left immediately and never returned. Even today, Waverly Hills is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors claim to hear children laughing, doors slamming shut, and see shadowy figures watching them from the windows. Despite being abandoned for decades, the building feels very much alive, with something that should have stayed dead. Centralia was once a thriving coal mining town in Pennsylvania. Back in the 1960s, the town had around 1,500 residents, busy streets, schools, and churches. But in 1962, everything changed. A fire was accidentally started in an old mining pit beneath the town, intended as a routine trash burn. But what no one realized was that the fire seeped into the labyrinth of coal mines under Centralia. The fire never went out. It's still burning today, more than 60 years later. As time passed, the ground started to crack and collapse, releasing thick, toxic smoke. The roads warped from the heat, and strange sinkholes opened up without warning. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was nearly killed when the ground collapsed beneath him in his grandmother's backyard. He was saved only because a tree root caught him as he fell. By the 1990s, Centralia was all but abandoned. Nearly every building was demolished, and most families were relocated by the government. But some refused to leave, and that's when the real strangeness began. In 2007, a group of paranormal investigators visited the area, curious about the abandoned church that still stood on the hill, St. Mary's Church, untouched by the fire. They reported hearing chanting inside even though the building was empty. Some of them claimed they saw figures in priest robes staring from the broken windows, their faces obscured by shadows. But when they entered, the church was silent and empty. One of the investigators, a skeptic named Rachel, later said she felt the overwhelming sensation of being watched. When she turned to leave, she saw a child standing by the altar, his skin pale and gray, with coal dust covering his hands. "Help me," he whispered before vanishing into thin air. Locals who live near the ruins still avoid the area. Many believe the spirits of the miners who died in the fire, or the ones who were buried deep in the mines and never found, are trapped underneath, angry and restless. Others claim the burning ground itself has opened a sort of gateway, releasing more than just smoke into the world above. Centralia is now a ghost town in the most literal sense. Roads lead to nowhere, and street signs stand in empty lots. But if you ever visit, don't stay too long. The fire is not the only thing that refuses to die. Just off the coast of the Bronx, hidden between the choppy waters of the East River, lies North Brother Island, a place few New Yorkers even know exists. Now completely overrun by nature, this 20-acre island was once home to a quarantine hospital and later a rehab center for drug-addicted teens. But the history of the island is darker than most imagine. In the late 1800s, North Brother Island became infamous as the home of Typhoid Mary, the first known asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever in the United States. Her real name was Mary Mallon, and she was forcibly isolated on the island for nearly 3 decades until her death in 1938. Locals believe she cursed the island with her rage and suffering, but that wasn't the end of tragedy. In 1904, a passenger steamship called the General Slocum caught fire near the island. Over 1,000 people, mostly women and children, died in the disaster. Many of their bodies washed up on the shores of North Brother. Residents at the time claimed the cries of the drowning could be heard for years after. Fast forward to the 1950s. The island was converted into a juvenile drug rehabilitation center. What should have been a place of healing quickly became a nightmare. Former patients reported being locked in rooms alone for days, injected with sedatives, and even subjected to electroshock therapy. By the 1960s, after a series of disturbing allegations and unexplained deaths, the facility was shut down, and the island was completely abandoned. But the silence didn't last. In 2010, a group of urban explorers kayaked across the East River to reach the island. They made it to the crumbling hospital buildings, taking photos of moss-covered gurneys and rusted IV stands. Then as they entered the old treatment wing, one of them, Jeremy, swore he heard a woman humming from the second floor. They climbed the stairs and found the room it came from. The door was open, but the room was empty, except for a rusty hospital bed with restraints. On the wall, scratched into the peeling paint, were the words, "She never left." That night back in the city, Jeremy reviewed his camera footage. In one frame, barely visible in a broken mirror, stood a woman in a nurse's uniform, faded, translucent, and staring straight at the lens. No one had seen her in person. Today, the island is closed to the public, officially deemed a bird sanctuary. But those who manage to sneak in often come back different. Some feel ill for days. Others report seeing shadows moving in the windows of buildings that haven't had electricity in over 50 years. North Brother Island remains one of New York's darkest secrets, an island of forgotten screams and restless souls. If these real-life haunted places gave you chills like the video, subscribe to Nightmare Chronicles and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next terrifying story. Would you ever visit one of these places? Let us know in the comments. And remember, some places were never meant to be found.